standing here all night? Uh-oh. Right, buddy? Don't worry, I've got you covered.
The first mission problem is to create a program that will ask for 3 integer inputs and do different processes. The flowchart of the program starts with the input of num1, num2, and num3, followed by the process for average and the display of average. After the display of average, the program proceeds to the conditional statement where if it's true, it enters to another condition, and if it meets the condition, then it will display the input in ascending order. And if it falls, then it will proceed to the next condition and repeat until it meets the condition and display the result. Same goes for the descending order. After presenting the ascending and the descending order of the program, the flow proceeds to the square of ascending, where it also enters 2 conditional statements, and if it meets the both condition, it will then enter the process for calculating the square for each input and then display the result for the square in ascending order. And we use the same flow for the square root in the descending order. The only difference is the process to calculate the square root for each number. If the last condition of the flow will still result as false, then the program will display an error and end the program. In creating this program named ascending descending, we use different classes to complete the program. This is why we import 3 different classes for us to be able to run this program. First is the java.util for the scanner utility. Second is the java.lang.math for solving the square root of the descending order. Lastly is the java.text for us to be able to display the decimal outputs in 2 decimal places only. The program will first ask for the 3 numbers given by the user and solve it to find average and display it first. In order to arrange the 3 inputs, we use the if statement and formulate a condition where the inputs are only allowed to enter a certain ifs if the input meets the conditions. In the descending order, we use the opposite conditions we use in ascending order. To create the square in ascending order, we copy the condition we formulate from the ascending part and add the formula and assign new variables to calculate the square of each inputs and display the square of ascending. In creating the square root of descending order, we copy the condition in descending order and add the formula in solving the square root of each input. In finding the square root of each inputs, we use the math.square root, which is covered by the import java.lang.math.
brain is no ordinary computer.
The flowchart starts with the inputs of player 1 and player 2. Then it will enter a conditional statement where it identifies if both inputs are valid. If it won't meet the condition, the flow will continue and present the input as error and end the program. If it's true, then the flow will continue to the next condition where it identifies whether player 1 wins or not. If player 1 wins, then it will proceed to display and end the program. If the input does not meet the first statement of identifying the winner, then it will proceed to the next conditional statement until it meets one of their conditions and display the result and end the program. If it won't meet any conditions until the last conditional statement, then it will display draw. It means that player 1 and player 2 has the same input and end the program. Since we use J option as our class to display our program, we need to have an access with it. Thus, we import JavaX Win. In this program, we use the J option class to provide standard input dialog for the user, for them to be able to enter his or her choices as player 1 and player 2, and choose between rock, paper, scissor, and hammer. The first if has a condition in which we ensure that player 1 and player 2 inputs are between 1 to 4, else it will count as error in the program if the user input a number less than 1 or greater than 4. If the first if's condition will result as true, it will then enter the second if and set of else if to examine the input entered by player 1 and player 2. If the input meet the condition in one of the else if or in the second if, the result will display as player 1 win, player 2 win, or draw. If the input does not meet the condition of the second if and the set of else if, it will then result as draw. If the first condition of the first if result as false, the program outcome would be error.